Hi guys, it's Nina from VRFocus. Today is a Tuesday, so I'm doing a review of a VR game or a VR experience. This week I'm going to be talking about Virtual Awakening. This VR experience is built around a near-death experience. The idea is that if you go through a near-death experience, you see life flashing in front of your eyes. You see your family, you see your friends, you see things that you really care about. However, this experience is a little bit more educational. So I tried it out at Hackstock at the London Sci-Fi Film Festival, which is the VR section of it, and it was on the Oculus Rift. You had to do a questionnaire first, where you have to talk about if you had any near-death experiences. Have I had a near-death experience? What it was like, how you feel right now, and then after the experience you had to fill it in again to see if it had any type of emotional impact on you. You start off in a room where it feels kind of scary because there's a lot of figures standing there looking at you, and as you go into the experience, things kind of slowly start moving. So it's kind of like a VR film, which is interactive. You have to move left or right on little bubbles, and so there's a red bubble or there's an orange bubble, and depending on whether you want more information or whether you want to go to the next chapter, you can do so by focusing your attention to that little dot. This experience was educational, it was therapeutic, it focused on things around the planet that were going wrong. So for example, global warming, things that had to do with the oceans, with waste, with pollution. It kind of was a sense of what was going on with the world, and it was informing you. So it kind of felt actually like a documentary. I really care about global warming, so I knew quite a lot of these things, but I think that if you don't know a lot about global warming, this was a really interesting way of experiencing and educating yourself. Whenever anybody goes through a near-death experience, it is very personal. They have their own beliefs, but obviously this is built on something trying to make the world a better place. Its intent is on trying to educate and show you the world and its beauty before disappearing. As the film or the experience ends, you slowly go back into the world and everything becomes quite white and quite bright, and you float around and this huge figure comes towards you. And I thought, you know what, this was extremely beautiful. The only problem that I found with the experience was that it used lots of images rather than videos, and I think one of the problems with 360 filmmaking and a lot of the editing is that to make it more immersive, you really need to have video, or you need to have a 3D environment in which you can move around in. There were for example, some beautiful time lapses which I thought worked very well because that's just really beautiful to look at. However, if it's just images, then it doesn't quite work. The sound is extremely important, but I thought this was an incredible, I don't know, I've seen a lot of VR films, and one of the problems with it doesn't really make use of storytelling, of educating, of special effects, and I think this did a really good job of informing you, giving you the options of either finding out more information or moving on to the next spot, and it feels really beautiful. I asked a few questions to Jose, one of the guys who built it, and he went around with his 360 camera and captured all of the footage and the data, and I asked him, I was like, how do people feel after this experience? And it seems like a lot of people find it very therapeutic. It's because you're traveling around the world, you're traveling underwater to the jungle. There's a progression, there's a story of what's wrong in the world, but also what's really beautiful about the world. And it felt very smooth, it wasn't very clunky, and it did feel like you're floating around a lot. So I think that the intent, the feeling, the emotions of wanting to show the world and how beautiful it was and what we've done to it as humans worked effectively. Now it just needs to work a little bit better with regards to the quality of the videos in it, the different colors of the dots. But as far as a VR film or story that's interactive and immersive, I think it did quite well. You can find out more about the project in the links over here. It's very exciting to see what's happening in VR and see how filmmakers are using VR and 360 filmmaking to tell a story. But I think this is a good example of a film that uses 360 footage rather than 3D space to tell a beautiful story that's more based on your emotional state of mind rather than just story. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and I will see you next week.